I began my sex work journey in 2014, going on sugar daddy dates for money. I was then later forced into full service sex work by someone I loved. I felt empowered when I had a choice, but when I had no choice out of financial desperation and the fact I was told I didn't have a choice, I began to lose the ability to feel human by the end of it.
Jessica was raped multiple times. She has post-traumatic stress disorder, partly a result of enforced sex work. She says she was desperate for money.
I went to several mental health institutions for support, and they turned me away because I was a sex worker, even though I begged them to help me stop. I had no family to help me. I was just completely alone with it and struggling so much. I remember there was one time where there was a glass of water in front of me and I couldn't get up to get the water. And like, I was getting turned away by the end of it because I was just, I couldn't do it. I wasn't up to the job. And the last time I did sex work ever, I cried in the middle of it, and he let me keep the money and go home.
And you worried other people will feel the same as you did?
I don't ever want anyone to feel like I did. I know I don't. I would be there for anybody that came to me to stop them feeling like I did.
And that's why she set up what is currently the country's only student sex worker support group, based in Manchester and helping people throughout the pandemic.
For me, it's not just about helping the whole community, it's about the individual. I think if you can make a difference in one individual's life, then you've made all the difference in the world. There's been an overall increase in sex work altogether. People have been let go from their jobs temporarily and permanently, and universal credit doesn't pay enough for people to live on, which is a positive thing, because in the sex work is becoming more and more accepted as a job, but it presents its risks.
The need for organisations like Jessica's support for student sex workers is growing. Sky News has learned that a rising number of university students are turning to sex work as a result of COVID-19 and its economic impact. Figures from a survey by Save the Student show that 10% would consider sex work in a financial emergency, nearly double the number compared to last year. While in a separate survey, 7% of students say they've actually turned to sex or adult work during the pandemic as a way of plugging the gap in a cash crisis. 77% were female, 22% male.
Initially it was only lingerie, and I did that for the first 2 months, and then I decided to go topless.
So do you have a line?
Nothing below the waist.
Rose will graduate from university next year. She turned to sex work online because the restaurant she worked in closed down due to the pandemic. We've revoiced her words to protect her identity. So if you weren't doing it, where do you think you'd be financially?
I'd be struggling. Even though I live with family, I don't like to live there for free. I like to pay my keep. I'm not doing anything that obscene, and I'm not meeting people in real life. I'm just acting and modelling. And I'm earning money that I can eventually buy a house with.
She now earns hundreds of pounds, sometimes nearly £2,000 a month, through a subscription website called OnlyFans. So you find it liberating?
Very, very liberating. I'm in control of my own content, I'm in control of my own body, and I can do whatever I want with it, because you can set your own levels.
Do you feel safe doing it?
Most of the time. I'm not going to lie and be oblivious that someone could, figure out who I am and come up to me in the street. Some websites aren't encrypted, so your content isn't private. I've had something leaked onto a very dark website once, which did scare me. It honestly did make me feel a bit unsure and unsafe and not sure if I should just quit there and then, but I decided not to.
Hospitality and retail have been hit hard, with thousands of jobs cut. It means the next 12 months for students could be particularly fraught.
There's no problem with people doing sex work if it's something that they want to do, but if it's something that they're being forced to do through an absolute lack of money, then that is something to be concerned about. We wouldn't be surprised to see that in this year, what we are expecting to be one of the toughest years financially for students for a very long time, to see that next year the number of students who have actually done some kind of sex work to have jumped in some way.
There are now calls for greater financial support for students from the government. While some choose sex work because they enjoy it, for others, financial pressures may take that choice away.
For the extremely impoverished, there isn't always a choice.
And it's those who feel forced who become vulnerable and at risk. Adele Robinson, Sky News.